Are you kidding me right now? Did WWE really think they could get away with having Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed jump Roman Reigns like a couple of cowards and not face the consequences? Well, guess what happened next? Jacob Fatu turned into an absolute monster and made both of those wannabe tough guys pay the ultimate price. And if you think you know what happened, trust me, you have no idea how brutal this really got. What we witnessed wasn't just revenge, it was a masterclass in family loyalty that left both Breakker and Reed questioning every life choice they've ever made. The tribal chief got attacked, and his enforcer responded with the kind of violence that makes grown men reconsider their career paths. This isn't your typical WWE beatdown story, this is about respect, family, and what happens when you cross the wrong Samoan warrior. Before we dive into this absolute carnage, let me ask you something that's been eating at me. Why does WWE keep booking these David versus Goliath scenarios where the smaller guys think they can take down Roman's empire? Are they trying to tell us that muscle and athleticism can overcome years of dominance and family tradition? Because what happened to Breakker and Reed proves that theory dead wrong. Let's set the scene because this whole situation started brewing weeks ago. Roman Reigns, the original tribal chief, has been carrying WWE on his shoulders for years. The man has defended his position against every challenger they've thrown at him. Stone Cold legends, part-time superstars, rising rookies, Roman has conquered them all. But apparently, Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed thought they were different. They thought they could waltz into Roman's territory and disrespect not just him, but everything the bloodline represents. These two powerhouses had been making noise for weeks about how the company was being held back by old guard mentality. Breakker kept running his mouth about how his amateur wrestling background and explosive athleticism made him the future of WWE. Meanwhile, Reed was talking about how his Australian bulldozer style was going to flatten anyone standing in his path to championship gold. The disrespect was unreal. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is what WWE doesn't want you to focus on. Both Breakker and Reed had been getting subtle pushes from management. Longer matches, better storylines, more TV time. It was like they were being groomed to eventually challenge Roman's throne. The writing was on the wall, but neither of them had the patience to earn their shot the right way. Instead, these two decided to take a shortcut that would haunt them forever. During what should have been a routine contract signing segment, Breakker and Reed launched a coordinated assault on Roman that was so vicious, so calculated, it left the entire WWE universe in complete shock. We're talking steel chair shots, announced table destruction, and a beatdown so severe that Roman was left motionless in the ring while these two cowards celebrated like they just won the lottery. The footage was brutal. Roman, who survived wars against Brock Lesnar, The Undertaker, and countless other legends, was being worked over by two men who combined probably have less championship experience than Roman has in his pinky finger. Breakker hit his signature spear that sent Roman crashing through the barricade, while Reed followed up with a devastating splash that had medical personnel rushing to ringside. For a moment, just a moment, it looked like the landscape of WWE had shifted forever. Commentary was selling it like the end of an era. Social media exploded with hot takes about whether this was the changing of the guard. Wrestling journalists were already writing their Roman Reigns era ends headlines. The disrespect was palpable. But here's what everyone forgot, and this is where WWE made their biggest mistake in booking this angle. Roman Reigns doesn't stand alone. The bloodline isn't just a name or a catchphrase, it's a family. And when you attack family, you don't just face one person's wrath. You face the collective fury of an entire dynasty. Enter Jacob Fatu, the enforcer, the monster, the one man in WWE who makes even the toughest superstars think twice before stepping out of line. While Roman was being helped to the back, while Breakker and Reed were basking in their moment of glory, Jacob Fatu was watching, planning, calculating exactly how he was going to make both of these men regret the day they decided to cross the tribal chief. What happened next wasn't just revenge, it was a statement that echoed through every locker room, every corporate office, and every fan discussion for weeks afterward. Jacob Fatu didn't just attack Breakker and Reed, he dismantled them in a way that redefined what brutality looks like in modern WWE. The first victim was Bron Breakker, and let me tell you, this wasn't the dominant athletic specimen we're used to seeing. This was a man who realized he'd made a terrible mistake the moment Jacob Fatu's music hit. The look of absolute terror in Breakker's eyes as Fatu made his way to the ring was priceless. All that amateur wrestling background, all that explosive athleticism meant nothing when faced with pure Samoan fury. Fatu started by methodically picking apart everything that made Breakker dangerous. Those lightning-quick reflexes? Neutralized by calculated strikes that left Breakker stumbling around the ring like he'd never been in a fight before. That powerful spear? countered with such devastating force that Breaker probably still feels it in his nightmares. This wasn't just a beating, this was a lesson in what happens when you bite off more than you can chew. The most shocking moment came when Fatu grabbed Breaker by the throat and delivered a powerbomb so devastating that the entire ring shook. Commentary went silent. You could actually hear the air being sucked out of the arena as thousands of fans realized they were witnessing something special. Breaker, who had been talking about being the future of WWE just days earlier, was reduced to a broken heap in the center of the ring. But Jacob Fatu wasn't done. Oh no, he was just getting started. While Breaker was struggling to even stand, Fatu grabbed a steel chair and delivered shot after shot with surgical precision. Not random wild swings like most wrestlers do, but calculated strikes designed to inflict maximum damage while sending a crystal clear message: you do not touch Roman Reigns without consequences. The crowd was absolutely electric. These were the same fans who had been cheering for Breaker's meteoric rise just weeks earlier, but now they were witnessing firsthand why the bloodline has dominated WWE for so long. It's not just about individual talent, it's about family, loyalty, and the kind of protection that money can't buy. Meanwhile, Bronson Reed was backstage getting the same treatment, and folks, what happened to the Australian powerhouse was even more brutal than what Breaker endured. Reed had been talking for months about how his size and power made him unstoppable. He'd been bulldozing through opponents like they were training dummies. But Jacob Fatu showed him what real power looks like. The backstage footage was absolutely insane. Fatu cornered Reed in the parking garage, and what followed was 5 minutes of pure violence that had security scrambling and management panicking. Reed tried to fight back, credit where credit's due, but trying to overpower Jacob Fatu was like trying to stop a hurricane with an umbrella. Fatu launched Reed into car doors, concrete walls, and steel support beams with such force that you could hear the impacts echoing through the entire garage. This wasn't wrestling, this was a man protecting his family's honor with every ounce of strength in his body. Reed, who had looked so dominant against other opponents, was being tossed around like he weighed nothing. The most devastating moment came when Fatu grabbed Reed and delivered his signature Samoan drop on the concrete floor. The sickening thud of Reed's body hitting the ground will haunt anyone who witnessed it. Medical personnel were rushing to the scene while Fatu stood over Reed's motionless body, sending a message that resonated throughout the entire WWE roster. But here's what makes this whole situation even more intense, and this is something WWE tried to downplay in their official coverage. This wasn't just about revenge for one attack. This was about respect for an entire legacy. Roman Reigns represents more than just championship success. He represents family tradition, Samoan pride, and a wrestling dynasty that spans generations. When Breaker and Reed attacked Roman, they weren't just attacking one man, they were attacking everything the Anoa'i family has built in professional wrestling. They were disrespecting legends like The Rock, Yokozuna, Rikishi, and countless other family members who paved the way for today's success. Jacob Fatu's response wasn't just personal, it was cultural. The aftermath was absolutely incredible to witness. Both Breaker and Reed required legitimate medical attention. Not the typical WWE injury angle medical attention. We're talking about real paramedics, real stretchers, and real concerns about their ability to compete going forward. The beatdown was so severe that both men were off television for over 2 weeks. WWE management was reportedly furious, not at Jacob Fatu for his actions, but at Breaker and Reed for creating a situation that required such extreme response. Behind-the-scenes sources suggest that both men were lectured about respecting established stars and understanding the consequences of their actions. The fan reaction was explosive across all social media platforms. Respect the Tribal Chief was trending worldwide within hours. Wrestling forums were going crazy analyzing every moment of Jacob Fatu's decimation of both opponents. Even casual fans who don't normally follow wrestling were sharing clips and expressing amazement at the sheer intensity of what they'd witnessed. But perhaps the most telling reaction came from the WWE locker room itself. Multiple wrestlers took to social media to express their support for Jacob Fatu's actions. Veterans were praising him for standing up for family values and teaching younger wrestlers about respect. Even competitors who normally stay neutral were making it clear that Breaker and Reed had crossed a line that should never be crossed. This whole situation also exposed something fascinating about modern WWE that corporate executives probably wish wasn't so obvious. There's still a hierarchy based on respect, family, and earned position that transcends booking decisions and management preferences. You can push new talent all you want, but if they don't respect the foundation that existing stars have built, they'll get knocked back down to reality fast. Jacob Fatu's actions sent shockwaves through the entire wrestling industry because they reminded everyone that some things are still sacred in sports entertainment. Family loyalty, respect for established stars, and understanding your place in the pecking order aren't just outdated concepts, they're fundamental principles that keep the entire system functioning. The long-term implications of this beatdown are still being felt throughout WWE programming. Both Breakker and Reed have been noticeably more respectful in their promos since returning. Their entire demeanor changed from cocky disrespect to cautious acknowledgement of wrestling hierarchy. It's like they finally understood that natural athletic ability means nothing if you don't have the wisdom to use it properly. Meanwhile, Jacob Fatu's stock has risen to incredible heights. Management realizes they have an enforcer who will protect their top stars without needing direction or permission. Fellow wrestlers respect his willingness to stand up for family values. And fans have embraced him as the kind of authentic badass that wrestling has been missing for years. The most beautiful part of this entire story is how it reinforced the importance of the bloodline without diminishing anyone else's potential for future success. Breakker and Reed learned valuable lessons about respect and patience. They're both still incredibly talented performers with bright futures, they just needed to understand the proper way to climb the ladder. Roman Reigns returned stronger than ever, knowing his family had his back in the most dramatic way possible. The bond between Roman and Jacob Fatu became even stronger, creating an alliance that strikes fear into anyone considering similar disrespectful actions. The entire bloodline emerged from this situation with enhanced credibility and respect. This is why Jacob Fatu's destruction of Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed will go down as one of the most significant moments in recent WWE history. It wasn't just about one night's entertainment, it was about preserving values, teaching respect, and demonstrating that some lines should never be crossed regardless of personal ambition or management backing. What do you think about Jacob Fatu's actions? Did Breakker and Reed deserve what they got for attacking Roman Reigns? Should younger wrestlers show more respect for established stars? Or is aggressive ambition the key to success in modern WWE? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because this conversation is far from over. Make sure to smash the like button if you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe for more WWE Insider analysis, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest content. The wrestling world never stops evolving, and neither do